Well, good evening. I'm Reggie Harris, your host for this evening, and thank you so much for joining us for Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Round, a music series that is a continuation of the Living Legacy Project's Civil Rights, The Struggle Continues. And many of you I know joined us for last year's series, which ran from May to October. And now in 2021, in a new landscape, in a new time, with some of the same issues raging at us, having just come through an insurrection and an inauguration, I welcome you to the continuation of our celebration of civil rights. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a walking, keep on a talking, marching up the freedom land. We are so grateful that you've taken the time tonight to join us. And we have three amazing acts tonight, four musicians who are really at the forefront of continuing the history and the legacy of civil rights and the music that fueled a revolution. And the revolution, as you well know, is still on. So tonight we ask you to sit back or maybe sit up, have a nice tasty beverage with you, and listen to these artists who have made their life work, their careers, their missions to use music to connect people to the reality that we have a lot of civil rights work to do. I am thrilled to say that each of the three performers tonight are, well, actually the four performers tonight, because we have two singles and a duo. They are all friends of mine. I am so thrilled to be in their company tonight. And I am happy to say that they are part of the legacy that rose out of this nation's commitment. Those who stood up when standing up was necessary. We know that the civil rights movement also had many who fell away or who were taken from us because their lives were taken. We don't say they lost their lives. The civil rights struggle has been one of amazing, amazing danger and sacrifice. But tonight, we also celebrate the joy that comes from the music. So, without any further ado, I am going to introduce our performers for tonight. And our first artist is Chris Matthews, who is a fairly new friend of mine, but one who has been out there raising the message of civil rights for a bunch of years now. Chris, originally from North Carolina, she is a resident of Washington, D.C., and her music has been getting a lot of buzz, as they say in the business. Chris Matthews was introduced to the national stage in 2013 with strong performances at song contests, and it has lost no momentum at all. As a matter of fact, I happen to know that she's working on a new album, which will be coming out very shortly. Chris has a very strong, passionate voice, is a fine guitarist, and also has been lauded for her strong and amazingly astute messages in song. Her lyric writing is extremely well received in this time. We also have Sparky and Rhonda Rucker, who they have been at the forefront of creating not only musical expression for audiences in museums and in theaters and around the world at festivals, but also they do work with children as well. Sparky was a part of the civil rights movement back in his home of Tennessee, and Rhonda has also created her own niche by writing books. So we'll hear from them tonight as well, a duo whose passion and fervor for civil rights is well established. And starting us off tonight, well, if you were tuned into our Civil Rights The Struggle Continues program in October, people just fell in love with Melanie DeMore, and there's certainly a great reason why. You will see her infectious passion for civil and human rights. Melanie is somebody that I've known for years and years and years. She's a singer, songwriter, composer, conductor, vocal activist who believes the power of voices need to be raised together. And you are in for a treat. You can find out more about them if you go to our face page on livinglegacy.org. But right now, I want to get the music started. So we're going to fasten our seatbelts because Melanie DeMore is in the house.
Thank you, Brother Reggie. I'm so glad to be here, babies. I'm going to open this thing up with a song I wrote called Rise Up that I have been lately dedicating to Sister Rutha Harris, who was one of the original freedom singers. And I had the pleasure of speaking with her on this past MLK Day, and it hit me that she was there with John Lewis and down there with Dr. King, and she is still doing the work. Here's a song. Rise up, and take your place. Move to the head of the line, join the human race. No more denying, open your eyes and see. You got a right, sure as you're breathing. You got a right to be free. And you got a right to feed your children and help them grow up strong. How can they face the future if they're hungry all day long? So rise up, and take your place. Move to the head of the line, join the human race. No more denying, open your eyes and see. You got a right, sure as you're breathing. You got a right to be free, and you got a right to be angry at a system that has failed to honor all its people. You got a right to be heard, so rise up, and take your place. Move to the head of the line, join the human race. No more denying, open your eyes and see. You got a right, sure as you're breathing. You got a right to be free. And you got a right to be here, sister, brother, people, family. You got a seat here at the table. Sit on down right next to me and rise up, and take your place. Move to the head of the line, join the human race. No more denying, open your eyes and see. You got a right, sure as you're breathing. You got a right to be free. You got a right, sure as you're breathing. You got a right to be free. You got a right, sure as you're breathing. You got a right to be free. Thank you, everybody. And I am passing it on to my cousins Sparky and Rhonda. There we go. Okay.
Oh, that was wonderful to hear Melanie sing that. You know, you've even got that rhythm down like the freedom singers do too. I swear I had this in tune. Well, Reggie mentioned that I came out of the civil rights movement. You know, before that time, I was a rock and roll musician. I ain't talking about this jive stuff that you hear it now. I'm talking about that early stuff, you know, with Chuck Berry and Little Richard. But I also came of age during the movement. And it was the movement that inspired me to use my music as a way to bring people together and to give them strength. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We're fighting for our freedom and we shall not be moved. Fighting for our freedom, shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water, singing we shall not be moved. We're young and old together, we shall not be moved. Young and old together, shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water, and we shall not, I'm singing, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree planted by the water, singing we shall not be moved. Come on, banjo. We're marching up to victory, we shall not be moved. Marching up to victory, shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water, singing we shall not be moved. We shall not be singing, our children. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water, singing we shall not be. One last time, singing we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water, we shall not be
Thank you so much. And next,
We're going to pass it on to Chris Matthews.
Yeah.
Looking forward.
Thank you so much. What an honor to be here with so many incredible change makers. What an honor. Thank you so much for this gift, Reggie. I think I'm going to sing for you all what will be the title track for the new album that Reggie mentioned to you. This is called Change Makers. And yeah, I think I would just like to reference, because of the night, kind of this really beautiful quote from Dr. King that talks about freedom songs. It says, "Freedom songs are the soul of the movement. They're more than just incantations of clever phrases designed to invigorate a campaign. They are the sorrow songs, the shouts for joy, the battle hymns, and the anthems of our movement." The song is called Change Makers. Sitting alone in this hotel room, TV on, tuned into the news, and it's another day here in paradise. Mass shootings, deportations, wildfires. Meanwhile, Mr. Make America Great is busy tweeting his worst and spreading more hate. While some of us are so poor they can't afford shoes on their feet, while some other sweet baby starves to death in their sleep. Can you see us? We are dreamers. Can you feel us? We are believers. We are more than keyboard warriors. We are the change makers. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. no-name towns are a million lives being turned upside down. And you know this is the only home those kids have ever known. Refugees from wars and regimes being overthrown. Meanwhile, too many of these United States ignore the words Lady Liberty spake. Doors being kicked down in the dead of the night. No more sanctuary cities. How's that for religious right? Can you see us? We are dreamers. Can you feel us? We are believers. We are more than keyboard warriors. We are the change makers. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And if there's anyone out there who questions what America at its very best will feel like now, remember 66 million united in love, steadfastly indivisible across countless cities and towns. Oh, the bluest wave crashing from shore to shore. And all those hate has no home here. Signs on all those doors. We know who we are like we know how to breathe. Won't you sing it with me? Sing it with me, please. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Give me the wretched refuse from your teeming shores. Send these, the homeless, the tempest tossed to me. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Give me the wretched refuse of your teeming shores. Send these, the homeless, the tempest tossed to me. Oh, can you see us? We are dreamers. Can you feel us? We are believers. And we are more than keyboard warriors. We are the change makers. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm going to turn it back over to Reggie, I believe.
Well, thank you, Chris. And wow, change makers. We are change makers indeed. And we all know that change was made and was made possible by the music of the civil rights movement, which rose out of the years of people in slavery, the spirituals that rose up, the blues that came in, and then the songs translating that desire for freedom and justice, binding people together and creating community. And there's nobody that I know that creates community like Melanie DeMore. So we're going to bring Melanie back for another song, and then we're going to have a little chance to talk to Melanie and find out not only what she's been up to, but how she plugs into this legacy of song. Once again, Melanie DeMore.
Chris, you better work. You better work. I thought that I would bring in a little bit of stick pounding. I specialize in the art of stick pounding from the Gulf South Sea Islands of the U.S. And I want to take this song, one that you all know, which is a mainland spiritual that was used. It's been used a lot in the movement, and you all know it. And then we'll throw a little bit of Gullah stuff on top of that. And you all know this one. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. You know that this little light, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Deep down in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. You know that deep down in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Deep down in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now, the Gullah people, when they had this rhythm, which was like a conduit to freedom for them, and when this rhythm would happen, the people would feel the possibility of freedom. They would feel their connection to each other. And when it started to feel real good, the tempo picked up. Deep down in my heart, you know I'm gonna let it shine. You know that deep down in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Deep down in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Deep down in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Deep down in my heart, you know that I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Deep down in my heart, you know I'm gonna let it shine. Deep down in my heart, I know freedom will be mine. This little light, this little light, this little light of mine. This little light, this little light, this little light of mine.
Whoa. Whoa, my goodness.
Well,
I gotta tell you, that is a song that my mother tells me I first sang that song when I was 3 years old,
I'm not surprised.
but I didn't sing it like that. Oh, Melanie, I love the way that you recover, reclaim, reestablish the roots, and particularly with the sticks and the Gullah connection. When did you start doing that?
Well, I was fortunate and blessed to be a founding member of the percussion-driven a cappella ensemble Linda Tillery and the Cultural Heritage Choir.
Oh yeah.
And we were fortunate, we were Grammy-nominated band. And Linda said to me on one of our first rehearsals, said, Melly, you're going to play the stick. I said, what does that mean? And so I took to it naturally. My father is from around that area, from around the Sea Islands. And I just took to it naturally. I was like, oh, I remember this. I don't know why, but I remember this. Yeah,
Yeah. They say the music seeps into your bones.
absolutely.
Yeah. Now you do a lot of work also with youth audiences, children, and choirs. And would you talk just a little bit about the spreading of that kind of community, because this is where the music came from, of rising up to pull people in the community so that they did not feel isolated in this great charge into civil rights and for freedom.
Well, and the thing is, we have to know that songs have throughout history, particularly some of the spirituals, all of that, these songs are food and sustenance. And I know that without these songs, I would not be standing here right now. Because I think about songs, again, as being food. And when I work with choirs and I'm doing residencies or I work with kids, I think about the songs of giving them like little medicine to take when they need it. And a lot of times when you think about when you write a song, when something touches you, understand that you need that medicine, and chances are somebody else needs that medicine. And so when I write music for when I was with my children's choir, I wanted to write songs that they could actually use. Because people write the songs for children that are just stupid. Children are not stupid. They write these songs. I just say, why are you talking to them like they don't have a brain cell? So I wanted to write them songs where they understood what was happening, they learned something, and it also empowered them. I used to tell them, I say, look, just because you're 6 doesn't mean that you don't have something to impart to others. You're practicing to be an ancestor right now.
That's a great way to put it. It takes a lifelong practice to reach that status. Wow. You are so infectious, and you are so powerful in conducting and communicating that connection. So I thank you.
Oh, I love you, Brother Ed.
Oh, hey, right back at you. We're going to move back to Sparky and Rhonda and ask them to bless us with another song.
Hey. Well, this song. Oh, Sorry, I thought I had already unmuted it.
I love doing these Zoom things where you see people get up close to the thing and try to adjust their glasses, try to read stuff. By the way, I want you to see what my brother-in-law got for for me for Christmas, my John Lewis T-shirt there.
Good Trouble
A
T-shirt.
Good Trouble T-shirt.
Yeah.
Like I needed something to get me into trouble.
right. Well, this is a song that came right out of the civil rights movement. It was written by a couple of activists, James Bevel and Bernard Lafayette. And James Bevel used to talk about how he came to write this song or got the idea for it. He grew up in an African-American neighborhood, but he could see the white neighborhood from his house, and he'd look over there and he'd want to go over there and play with that white kid, you know, but it wasn't allowed. And he noticed something, though. He noticed that he wasn't allowed to play with that kid, but his dog didn't have any problems going over there and playing with that other kid's dog. And then he started thinking about the dogs in the world, right, Sparky?
That's right.
Yeah. And he noticed that the red dogs would play with the yellow dogs.
That's right.
Yellow dogs would play with the brown dogs play with the white dogs play with the black dogs. They don't have any problems playing with each other. Yeah. They're just ready to play and have some fun. So they wrote this song. He and Bernard Lafayette wrote this song called Dog, Dog. And that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to play the bones on this song. This is an old instrument. We're talking biblical times, going way back. Yeah, the Old Testament times.
The Euphrates.
But people would use rib bones from an animal and put them back to back, hold one real tight, one not so tight. Move your hand like you're waving. And then you got to practice for a few years.
Yeah, once again, it's not what it says on the label. You got to read the small print.
And we'll do this song for you. Hope you sing along. My dog loves your dog.
Your dog loves my dog. My dog loves your dog. And your dog loves my dog. Why can't we,
sit under the apple tree? My little doggy was playing one day.
Get dog, 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 dog.
Down in the meadow by a bundle of hay.
Get dog, 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 dog.
Another little doggy came along.
Get dog, 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 dog.
He said,
let's get together and eat this bone. Dog, 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 dog. Then why can't we sit under the apple tree? You walk with me. You talk with me. Why can't you hold my hand and tell me you understand now? Can't you see that you and me would be happy? We're gonna sit under the apple tree. My dog loves your dog. Your dog loves my dog. My dog loves your dog. Your dog loves my dog. Then why can't we sit under the apple tree? My dog loves your dog. Talk about a rabbit dog. Talk about a hound dog. I'm talking about a coon dog. I'm talking about a bird dog. I'm talking about a watchdog. I'm talking about a bulldog. You know why can't we sit under the apple tree? Whoa!
My dog loved your dog. There are some great songs that rose out of the movement, and certainly James Bevel and many of the others. Bernard Lafayette, just a really wonderful singer. And I know that the two of you have been also doing a lot of work with the Highlander Folk Center. And would you talk a little bit about your work there and some of the festivals that you do?
Well, for the uninformed listener, the Highlander Center is where a song that had been sung by garment workers just happened to bring a song with them that they would sing on the picket lines, and they played it there at a workshop at the Highlander Center.
It's an old spiritual.
And they changed some things around, and it ended up becoming We Shall Overcome. And it was at a workshop at the Highlander Center that Martin Luther King first heard the song being sung. And the thing is, the way Guy Carawan used to tell me the story was that he was the one that played it for Martin first, and then Martin got in the car, and they I think they had gotten up as far as Ohio from Tennessee. And Martin said, that song's still running around in my head. I can't let it go. And he said, that'd be a good song as an anthem for the movement. And of course, we all know that song has been around the world. What the Highlander Center first started out being a folk school. It was there was a Danish folk school movement that was hitting this country at this time. It was just in the 30s during the labor movement, and Miles Horton started along with Don West, and after a while, Don West moved away and moved up into West Virginia and started a place called Pipestem, and it was another place you could go and have workshops and play music with other people in the movement. And then later, Zelphia Horton passed on, and that's when they brought Guy Carawan down. And it was about during that time, this is in the 40s and early 50s, that I first went to the Highlander as a kid. And my uncle J.R. Ross took me, and that was and there was this blonde man playing a banjo and singing, and he was singing a song about nuclear disarmament. And this is during the Cold War, and then, I was one of those kids that had to duck and cover, like they had us do, oh, the atomic bomb is going off. Get down beside your desk and cover your head. I want you to think about that for a while, and then here's this man singing this song, and I thought, wow, he's actually trying to take away the fear that I've had all of my childhood life. And it was Guy Carawan.
Wow.
And he started inviting me to come to the workshops and whatnot. When they moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, my hometown, it was only about 6 blocks from where I lived. So I would just, after school, I'd run down to Highlander. And I've many times crossed KKK picket lines, believe it or not, to go in to the Highlander Center. This is before they moved out to Madison, Newmarket, Tennessee. And so it was a part of my life all the time, going to workshops. Met Stokely Carmichael and Rat Brown down there. I met Rosa Parks at the Highlander Center. It has helped further our career, because I tell you, I was trying to play rock and roll, as I was mentioning earlier, and one time Guy Carawan walked by when I was doing an outdoor concert, and he looked at me as if I had gone over to the dark side or something. He said, "Sparky, is that you up there playing electric guitar? Shame me into going into doing what I do for a living, Reggie. And you and I never would have met if that hadn't happened."
History was made. Well, thank you, Guy Carawan, for interceding. And I know, Rhonda, you also are a writer. You've been writing books as well?
Yeah, I
Just have a couple of them.
one of them, Make a Change. That's actually based on Sparky's first civil rights demonstration that happened in Knoxville, Tennessee. His mother took him to that.
My mother took me down to the picket line.
Oh, my Lord. My goodness. She set you on the wrong road, or the right road.
The other one is called Welcome to Bomingham, and this is a young adult novel based on the time period of the Children's March in Birmingham. And so it's more, I guess, like I said, it's a little grittier, I guess, it's
I think it's just a regular adult.
Adult novel.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's people really had hard times down there between World War II and 1963 when this thing takes place. There were over 50 unsolved racially motivated bombings in that town. And this is before the bombing that everybody thinks about when they hear about Birmingham. It's several months before that. But it focuses on a particular kid whose house gets bombed. And, as it tells people what it was like, to live in a city like that. It was the most segregated city in the South. And but it's a hopeful.
His personal growth.
Yeah, his growth but there's some there's some hope in it too. So.
I think, as Melanie said, we present this material in music and in spoken word and visuals because kids need to know these stories.
Right,
You know,
right.
they need to know that that children their age were enduring these times, and certainly the music was keeping them in the community, and the stories are important for them to hear as they face what we face these days. So I thank you both for bringing the past into the present and being honest and truthful about telling the stories. We'll be back to you for some music.
Okay.
Thank you for what you're doing. And we're going to zip back to the powerful, the amazing, the lyrical Chris Matthews.
Thank you so much, Reggie. Gosh, I'm so conflicted because I want to sing like 5 different songs. But I think I'm gonna take a lead from Sparky's shirt. This is a song that I wrote about John Lewis, and I want to sing that song because I think so much of what those of us who try to inspire change and social justice through our art are kind of doing what it is he kind of charged all of us to do in a way with his life and his legacy. The song is called Call Them In because it is important for all of us to lift our voices, to sing out, to speak up for injustice, to call that out. But then that next step, that calling in, that's what Melanie, Reggie, Sparky, Rhonda, that's what everybody does so beautifully. It's that next step. And so I think I'm feeling inspired to sing this one tonight. So I hope that's okay. The battle lines are drawn, and once again, somebody's saying, wait, be patient. If they knew how long it would be before all people could truly hear freedom ring, I wonder which end of that moral arc would they choose. I wonder if more would have walked in his shoes. This is what revolution looks like. You gotta get in, then stay in this fight. You've got to find a way to get in the way. Speak up, speak out every day. Freedom riders or letter writers, do what you can, just shine your light brighter. Somebody called him a saint among men, a founding father, an icon, a legend. Ordinary people with such extraordinary vision in a country so young, hard pressed on every single side but not crushed, saying in God, love and justice we trust. This is what revolution looks like. You gotta get in, then stay in this fight. You've got to find a way to get in the way. Speak up, speak out every day. Freedom riders or letter writers, do what you can, just shine your light brighter. Make good trouble every chance you get. Eyes on the prize, we're not finished yet. Don't tolerate injustice, my friends. Call them out, but then call them in. If you see something that's not right, not fair, stand up and say we can do better. He said, I may not be with you when we reach the other side, so let the power of love everlasting be your guide. 'Cause this is what revolution looks like. You gotta get in, then stay in this fight. This is what revolution looks like. Get in, then stay in this fight. You've got to find a way to get in the way. Speak up, speak out every day. Freedom riders or letter writers, do what you can, just shine your light brighter. Make good trouble every chance you get. Eyes on the prize, we're not finished yet. Don't tolerate injustice, my friend. but then call them in, call them in. Find a way to get in the way. Speak up, speak out every day. Make good trouble every chance you get. Make good trouble every chance you get. Make good trouble every chance you get. Yeah.
Call them out. Call them in. I love it every time I hear that song.
Thank you, Reggie.
I know that a lot of the buzz as it is that you are, one of the young writers, one of the new wave. The amazing thing, of course, about civil rights movement is that so many of the singers and the activists in that time were, people who joined in. I remember Flossie Brown Wright saying she joined at 16. Hollis Watkins also. But as a younger voice in this movement, I love the way you call out the images that have been present.
Yes.
And you and I have talked about this before, but I think the audience would really like to hear a little bit about what you're thinking. And particularly, since this week we saw another young voice rise.
Yes, indeed. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I think because I did grow up in the AME church in southeastern North Carolina, history is so very important. It is a constant part of what we are learning, the lessons we were learning from our parents and grandparents as we're growing up. And so I grew up hearing about the civil rights movement and learning, so much about what that era was like and how important all of those actions were, how much they're still impacting, my life as growing up in such a rural town in North Carolina and feeling so free to just live and be because of those sacrifices that so many people made. And so that is something that has never been lost on me. And so it's almost like a constant presence of like my grandparents sitting on my shoulders as I'm writing songs, reminding me, And so you'll hear things in my social justice music very often, like in that song, a little nod to Eyes on the Prize, because it's almost like I am kind of trying, in essence, when I'm writing those songs, to commune with my ancestors, with all of those people who had their feet on the ground and were trying to do that work, and saying thank you to them. And so they're almost like these little hidden love notes in the body of the song. There's another song of mine called "We Must Be Free" that is actually based on Roberta Slavitt's "Freedom is a Constant Struggle," because I think that tradition of those songs from the civil rights movement, because so many of those songs are based on, spirituals from even well before the civil rights movement. It's such a deep connection to that history of who we are as a people. And it's so important to me to never lose sight of that. And so I try to be very intentional with my songwriting in that regard, and put those little tips of the hat, those little nods, those little love letters in the songs anytime I can.
Well, that's part of the grounding, and I'm so glad you mentioned that you're in connection with the ancestors. You're in connection with those who imparted these messages to you, and carrying that through. What did you think about Amanda Gorman? What was going through your mind as you saw her?
Well, after I was done crying like the first 6 times, after she had said the first 10 words, I was like, no, she was just, oh my gosh, that shirt that everybody is, always putting on Instagram, that's like, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams, that she is and was just so incredible, so powerful to see her, this beautiful, very small in stature, but an absolute titan in the hope and forward thinking and hoping and feeling and loving that she was bringing and weaving into that. It was such a powerful moment. I mean, I am considered young just because I'm a folk musician. I'm actually not that young, but I seem young because I'm in the folk community. But
which is very old. Just go ahead and say it.
But for me, just looking at her, I just was so proud, to see this beautiful young Black woman wielding all of this power and literally just sending so much hope into this country, which has been feeling so hopeless for 4 years. It was such a powerful moment. I think and hope I will never forget it, but it was just beautiful to know that my entire country was sitting on the edge of their seats, with tears in their eyes at the words of this beautiful young black woman. It was so powerful, so incredible.
Well, I tell you, if you had a chance to look in the chat right now, you would see that people are seeing the very same thing in you,
Thank you all.
and you are a gift of
Thank you.
that very
It's such
same
an honor
legacy.
to share space with all of you. Just an absolute honor. Thank you so much for paving the way for me and for what it is that I do by just calling them in, by making so much beautiful music, by keeping all of that connection so strong to the civil rights legacy and music and its part in it. It's so beautiful. So happy to be here with all of you.
Well, stay tuned because we're going to rip around one more time. We have a little bit of time to get everybody back in. We're going to cruise back around and pick up another song, a last song from Melanie DeMore. Melanie, thank you for shining your light on all of us tonight.
Thank you, babies. I wanted to sing for you a song I wrote for that I needed for medicine, and I knew the people around me needed. We had that a couple of months ago here in California, in Oakland, where I live, where the fires had rendered the sky so dark. And the sky was just maybe at noon, just maybe a shade lighter than me. And I noticed that people were so disoriented and they couldn't feel themselves, and the street light came on at noon. And I said, I was walking in my walk, and I looked around and I thought, you can't see it, but I know there is sun. And so I want to give this song for a little medicine for all of you in these days. I know there is sun. I know there is sun. I know there are stars in the sky. I know there is sun. I know there is sun. I know there are stars in the sky. It's not what we see, it's what we know. It's not what we see, it's what we know. And I know there is sun. I know there is sun. I know there are stars in the sky. And it's not what we see, it's what we know. It's not what we see, it's what we know. And I know there is sun. I know there is sun. I know there are stars in the sky. Thank you. It's what you know.
Yeah. I've got to tell you, Melanie, I've been lucky in my life that because of coming up in the movement and meeting people like Bernice and Bernice Regan and the second group of SNCC Freedom singers, Matthew and Marshall Jones, were from Knoxville and where I grew up. And that's, I mean, many times I was on many picket lines with them. But because of knowing Bernice, she and a woman named Anne Romaine started a touring thing called the Southern Folk Cultural Revival Project. And I was asked to be on the board of that. I got to do many tours. And I did so many tours with Sister Bessie Jones, and then later Doug and Frankie. And when you were playing that song with the Sticks, when you started, I could say, oh my gosh, that's that rhythm, you know, because they would do that rhythm on stage. And including also like the Moving Star Hall singers also did that rhythm. You have got that in your bones. Don't ever let that go, because there's not many people left who can do that. Just like that's why I feel the necessity to sing those old songs, because that's a message from our ancestors. Those old songs are them telling us what's going on in the world. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me, over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free and be free. No more weeping, no more weeping, no more weeping over me, over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free and be free. Moan it with me, children. Oh, come on now. Sounding good now. Well, and before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free and be free. Yes. Oh, Chris.
So beautiful. I think I would be remiss in not singing this one after that beautiful message from you, Sparky. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. The whole wide world around, the whole wide world around, the whole
We shall overcome. And the music tonight has given us reason to believe deep in our hearts that we indeed shall overcome. The music indicated, as it does now, that we are not there. This we know. But we need to celebrate along the way. We need to celebrate the victories that have already been realized, and we need to celebrate the fact that we have each other on the journey, and certainly those on the journey tonight. Sparky and Rhonda, Melanie DeMore, Chris Matthews, have all represented the wide spectrum of power that comes from this music. We know that these are the songs that propelled people into the streets and that propelled people through difficult times. And Lord knows, we have seen some things in the last 10 months, and we will see more. But we have the music to keep us together and keep us strong. I'd like to thank Sparky Rucker and Rhonda Rucker, Melanie DeMore, and Chris Matthews for kicking this series off in a major way, giving us an evening of music that hopefully is making you feel like you're ready to go out and do something great. Join us at 7 o'clock on February the 9th, and join us then. The information is on our website, and I'm your host, Reggie Harris. I thank you so much for joining us and so much for keeping in the struggle. So, till we meet again, keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Thank you.